Westover Woods Construction. We're just doing a quick showcasing of the Ridgid line saw vacuum system. When we kick on our saw, our vacuums turn on and so we have the Ridgid 12-inch framing saw, miter saw. One thing I really appreciate about the saw is that you can get up to these 70-degree angles. For our table, we have the 10-inch Ridgid table saw. On this chop, I do like to use a Diablo 80-tooth fine cut blade. I also do have a Makita 10-inch for just that really detail finished carpentry work, but this Ridgid will work for pretty much any of your standard items. Plus it's a great framing saw. So the stand is lovely, completely folds up, can roll around with the saw attached. The saw can also easily demount using these clips, and then can also just be placed on the ground, and used as a regular saw. For the vacuums, we're just using a standard Ridgid shop vac here. And then we have the Ridgid Vac Pack. So you can wear this on your back. It's really handy for hardwood flooring and whatnot. For the 2.5-inch, we always do keep a nice fine brushed attachment on, but on both we always do also include the lights. So this one actually has for the 1 3/4 for the vac pack, this actually has the telescoping attachment here, and then as well as the light. Very handy having the light. This room in particular, there's no overhead lighting, so when you're doing the actual project, the lamps that the homeowner would normally have in place are no longer in sight. So you can have job site lights everywhere, but it's just really handy when you're getting into these back corners, low light areas, just having that little bit of extra light. So moving on, we have the Ridgid tool line system, the Pro Gear system. I have Gen 2 and Gen 1. I honestly appreciate Gen 1 probably a little bit more in terms of how the handle mechanism works. But in general, this is just a great system and far more affordable than the Milwaukee's. But yeah, you can just, these are all very heavily loaded. I can just roll it around with ease, bring it onto my job site. Boom, everything in place. So we have 2 stacks. And then that way I can pretty much, just have any of my standard size screws or any of my nails on site just with me. It just makes it a breeze. And then for all of my battery powered tools, we are using DeWalt 20 volt. So this is what I would normally bring to any job site. We just keep a bunch of speed chargers going. But I would say in general, DeWalt is just a really sturdy brand. I've had some of these you can see are 18 volts that I have the conversion to 20 volt adapter in. And I've had these things running hard for, well over 10, 15 years on some of these. So, and then we have the battery powered nailers, very convenient if you don't want to just pull out your air compressor on every job. If you just have a small trim job to do, you're just shooting on one little single piece of trim, these things are just such a game changer. So definitely worth it. They're a little pricey. They're a little heavy in comparison to your, just air powered tools. But then we just have our variety of different finish nails, brad nails, framing nails, flooring nails. So you just never know what you're going to have to, what nail you're going to need for finish carpentry. You use quite a variety. So I'm using pin nails constantly, using various sizes and angles of finish nails depending on what you're using it for. So it's pretty handy just to have, all of the options. And then in terms of the DeWalt, I usually try to go for the XR brushless versions of everything. I just think, you're just getting better components. So. But in general, that's it. This stand, is worth its weight in gold. I believe it was under $200. These extend out 10 feet in either direction. So, you can have 20-foot lengths sitting on here with ease by yourself. Every point of this is adjustable height and, positioning. So just extremely convenient. And then when used in line with the vacuum system, you just can't lose. So all things considered, pretty affordable as well. And I've just been really impressed with Ridgid's motor strength, the torque. I'm not having anything bind up on me on my table, and I'm doing a lot of hardwoods and even, big, 2x4, 2x6 rips. So, it's really hogging through, even pressure treated material. So it's really held up great. And then, like I said, this going up to the 70-degree angle sure is handy. I've always used Makita for finished carpentry, but this thing has just been a very versatile tool, and it's holding up great. Like I said, also the motor strength on this is great. I don't have it bind up even when cutting 4x4 pressure treated material. It is a bit bulky, I will say, in comparison to the Makita. It does, package up pretty nicely. You put it over to the 70 degree. So, already you're compacting it quite well. But just in general, just from carrying saws throughout my career, I would say this is, it's pretty bulky. It's a 12-inch, so you could expect it to be a little bulkier. But it's definitely bigger than some other 12 inches I've used. So, just one thing to keep in mind, it does take up a little bit of space. And then with these attachments as well, it also is, making it just that much more bulkier because these just stay on the saw. And then if I wanted to detach the saw, I could just pull these, releases, and then it still is sitting on these nice rubber pads. They really thought this out well so that you can then just sit it right on the ground or on a hardwood floor, and you're not going to damage anything like if it was sitting on some metal or anything like that. So, that's the Ridgid line. Like I said, been impressed, especially for its affordability. I'd say you really can't lose. Same with DeWalt. I think they're extremely affordable for how just well they keep on trugging along. So, all right, check out our next video. Thank you.